Previous tutorial, we separated out our items in order to make a more explicit connection between this area and slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4 of Bob's inventory. But it still looks a lot like the code we previously had, right? A little unsatisfying here. So let's go in and let's make it so that when you select one item, it deselects the other items. And we're going to do that by going back into our inventory manager here and actually adding a fairly simple bit of code here. And where we want to add it is before or prior to we select an item. Actually, we want to basically zero out all the items. So we're going to add a subcondition under this selection area here. Let's go ahead and drag it up here. And the order here matters. So you don't want this down here. You want it up here prior to the selection. Excuse me. And what we're going to say is basically common conditions for all objects. Pick all objects in our items group, right? Now, we have to stop here and think for a second about the future a little bit of our game. So let me bring up the preview again, and let's think this through. The way we set up the code right now, it says, pick all the objects in our group of items. That's all of these. But eventually we're going to have a chest inventory here as well on this side. And that inventory is going to have items as well. So when we delete an item here, right, or select an item here, it's going to mess with our items on this side as well, because we never told the software to only worry about these particular items in our inventory container. It just sees a screen unless you tell it otherwise. So let's save ourselves the headache later on, and let's tell the software, look, just deal with our inventory layer for right now. So let's go back to our inventory manager, and let's add a condition here. And this condition is a little bit easy to overlook, okay? Because it's common conditions for all objects, layer. Compare a layer sounds like you want to take one layer and compare it to another, but then when you choose it and you read the language at the top, it says check if the object is on the specified layer. So this to me is a bit of a misnomer. It's sounds more to me like you could name this on layer, and it would be easier, to sort of understand. But we're looking for any item that's on the layer inventory. Now we've specified that these items need to be in or on our layer of inventory. And we're just going to change the animation to its unchosen state, meaning 0. Whoops. And let's hit OK. And let's go ahead and run a quick preview before we move on. Okay, here's the big test. Look at that. All right, so that takes care of that. Now let's move on and let's add a new button to our inventory container. So let's hit plus, sprite, new object, and I'm going to call this one BTN for button delete. And again, I just made this in Paint 3D. You could certainly use Pascal. And button delete right here. Now it's giving me this error because I save my code in multiple in multiple places, right? So I'll do a tutorial and then I'll copy and save it so that I have my code in case I need to go back because I've made that error before. You're likely to not get this error if you've just been following through this tutorial in one specific folder. Don't worry about it. I've tested this out myself and it seems fine, so just ignore that error when you see it on my screen. Okay, let's hit apply. And now we actually have to set this as a global object, and we have to create that button, and the best place to do that is in our inventory creation code. Since we're already making our inventory slots and whatnot, let's go ahead and let's copy and paste this, and copy and paste the Z order as well. And we're not going to create slot 5, we're going to create our button delete. And we need a starting position and an offset. So our starting position, this is kind of a lazy way of how we did this. We really should change this to the proper starting position of our menu, which is .inventory container.posx, right? We're doing this because if we ever change the position of our inventory, this code will automatically update that. Okay, so we've changed that. So now we've got our starting position here. We can think about where we want the button. I kind of want it basically right under where our pictures are. So I'm going to say inventory container dot pick X, right? Because that'll be there. And then for the Y position, we have to think about a little bit of math here. So I'll bring up my calculator just to show how I'm thinking here. The height of our entire screen is 600 pixels, right? And that's the same height as our inventory container. We don't want it right at the bottom, right? We want it up a little bit from the bottom. Let's say 600 minus 128. 472. We'll try that. We can try that here. So it would be inventory container plus 472. We really should be hard coding this. Yeah, let's do this the right way. Let's go to Project Manager, Global Variables, and Menu. Let's add to our inventory container here. Let's add a child variable, and we'll call this btn delete. This is going to help us anyway later on down the road, doing this the right way now. Here it is, btn delete, okay. And let's add two child variables here. One for position X and one for position Y. And we already said that we want the position of X to be basically where our slot 1 pick is, which is about 120. 128 or so, I think. I guess we can steal it from right up here. Let's see, pick X equals 75. All right, so let's make it 75. Where did it go? Here we go. 75, and the position Y we said was about 472. Okay, let's hit apply. Let's go back into our create object here. Let's change this to button delete. Let's change this to the correct variable, menus.inventory container.posx, right? Let's copy and paste this down here and change it to y. And let's change this to our global variable inventory container .btn delete .posx and .posy. Let's hit OK, and we need to change this to btn delete. All right, let's see how we did. There it is. All right, so I might want to move this over a little bit. We can always do that via our variables, but for right now, let's just leave that there. And the next tutorial will deal with starting to code this button and interact with it.